make the strings.
So we are at the shop. In the other video 2 days ago that you see, we made some engine mount brackets. So we got some engine mounts in here. I think I'm gonna make another little thing kind of going across to that. Obviously I just kind of stuffed this turbo on there so I could take a thumbnail of this thing and have it look decent. But today is the sad day because we're actually tearing apart the drift car. So gotta head over to the storage unit real quick, see if that thing will actually start up. It's freaking ice cold. It hasn't been started in like probably 3 months since I stuffed it away. And I think the last time I actually drifted it, was that when Adam was here?
Yeah.
I think it was. I think that was the last time I drifted it.
July, I think?
I don't know when it was, but we're gonna bring in the drift car and we're gonna take that thing apart, and we gotta figure out a place to put all these engines, get all this crap out, because we're gonna have another S14 shelf.
Do you think it's gonna start, Trev?
Oh yeah.
Should we put this up so we can get both of us? Oh. No, that's fine.
If you go fast enough, you don't need it.
That's right.
It's hard to miss all these. It should.
I mean, it should. Stock ECU on gas.
Oh.
That side, I didn't see that side. This side was fine. This side was fine. It was that side that caught. They're just zip ties. They're just zip ties. That's what zip ties are for. They break off. Breakaway mod. Let's see if he gets stuck. Oh.
There's some donuts. Say goodbye, you know?
Good Ghost Rider, you all. Fine by me. I need a new car, so let's Ghost Ride the whip. Ghost Ride the whip.
My truck was doing this. I did this. It is.
It's in second gear too.
We all don't die out.
Guys, so we got the S14 in the shop, and as you can see, Mustang is getting ready to come off the lift. I was just kind of stuffing some things. Had to play like the 30 car shuffle. Got the R8 out of here and kind of put all the engines and everything over here. Stuffed all this stuff away. Cleaned up a lot of this stuff. Need to clean up that little corner. And then we should be ready to yank the whole engine and tranny and everything out of the S14 for this guy. I'm not sure exactly how to feel about this. It's kind of, I'm excited, but I'm sad. This car has been, I don't know, I put it together almost 4 years ago. This is a absolutely bone stock 2JZ GTE vvti on a stock ECU. Just recently we tested out the ECU Master plug and play on this for the EMU Black, and I had that in here. Basically just did a burnout with it, drove it around on the street, and we didn't actually have it fully tuned yet. So I actually needed to rob this ECU and put it in my Civic because when we were doing the cage stuff, I broke the USB port on it. So I had to send the ECU out to ECU Master and get fixed. But so I went ahead and just threw the stock ECU back in it real quick just so that I could, you know, move it around the shop and stuff. Wasn't doing any drift events or anything with it, so it wasn't too big of a deal. So again, bone stock internally, stock ECU, stock 440cc injectors, super cheap, like $100 eBay cast manifold, and a really nice turbo. So before I had this is a Garrett GTX 3076R with a 0.82 AR exhaust housing and a T4 flange. Super sick. Basically makes full boost, which is about 15-16 pounds at like 3,300 RPM. Previously, for like 3.5 years or 3 years, I had a Garrett 3582 GTX. It was Gen 1 on here, and it made full boost about 4,200 RPM. So super sick setup. Makes about 440 wheel horsepower. I just have a little catch can thing, which this thing never ever gets anything in it. Stock mass airflow sensor. I have a PBM mid-mount intercooler setup, coil radiator, some really nice fans from Summit Racing, and yeah, this coil radiator has surprisingly kept this thing really cool in this S chassis. Obviously that's a lot of motor, a lot of engine stuffed in a tiny little spot with a lot of things kind of going on. So yeah, I I've had this car for about 6 years now. Initially it had an LS1 T56 in it, and then it went to a 6-liter with nitrous, iron block, and you know, some heads and nitrous and intake manifold, just a bunch of things. Had a ton of issues with the LS in here, and was pulling the engine, I felt like every other drift event, like doing something because of cam bearings or something, just something stupid. So literally put the JZ in here, and I have not removed it since. So this is going to be the first time I've actually yanked it out, and we're literally taking it out and throwing it directly in there. So the one thing that is up with this engine is the valve stem seals. 1Js I've never had issues with, but it seems like the 2J VVTIs, when you first start them when they're cold, they have valve stem seal issues. So need to, I'll probably pull the head off of it once it's in the car and running and stuff, send it to the machine shop, probably do valve springs, retainers, and then basically just valve stem seals on it. Keep it super simple. This is a front sump setup, so we have to swap the front sump stuff onto David's engine, and then we're going to actually use the rear sump setup for this one. This one has a Collins adapter plate with the Nissan 370Z transmission, manual boost controller, twin disc clutch. Super simple setup. Inside is kind of race car. Basically just have some switches for my ignition and fuel. Starts off the factory key. Kind of have a little fuse box set up right there. That basically runs the whole car, so the whole car is on its own wiring. Super simple. Again, tail lights, brake lights, and that's it. Turn signals, headlights, and radiator fans are on a thermostat switch, so I don't ever have to remember to turn the fans off or on. They just kick on when the car gets hot, and they turn off when they get cold. So oil cooler, I've had that on here, and some ducting going to the radiator. That's obviously been a little bit crunched up because I went into the wall think about 3 years ago at in Vegas Drift. So that I guess that's my spiel for this thing. I've been kind of bored with this chassis for a while. It's dialed, it works, it does what I want it to do, and that's pretty much it. So I think jumping over into this chassis, I'm really excited just the way this thing looks, and you know, it'll give me a new challenge to kind of play with. So that's kind of the whole idea behind here. We'll probably turn up this JZ. We might end up putting a little bit bigger turbo on here, or maybe just a bigger hot side on it. But this turbo should support almost 600 horsepower and literally light off like a light switch, which might be a good thing since this thing is going to weigh, I think it's probably going to weigh like 3,400 pounds, maybe 3,500, whereas this thing's probably around 28. So we're adding a little bit of weight, so having that extra torque down low or having that boost come in sooner is probably a good thing. But yeah, it's weird. I guess here she goes, we're yanking her out. Kind of a sad sight to see. Engine is ripped out of the drift car. This thing was definitely due for some cleanup. This engine bay used to be immaculate all the time when I had the LS in it, because every time I'd blow one up, I'd pull it out and clean some stuff up. But obviously this thing's been in there for long enough where it got really freaking dirty. So this is the wiring harness that I had going into the inside of the car. Basically there's like 10 red wires in there that all, you know, control like grounds and powers and just that little switch panel. Also some signals from like the tachometer and coolant temperature gauge and just little stuff like that. But came out, I think we worked on it for about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, just kind of moseying along, not trying to rush it or do anything crazy. This thing was definitely in need of some maintenance. You can see right here where the oil cooler lines were, we had a little bit of a leak. It leaked a little bit more since, you know, obviously we disconnected them. And then there was a little leak on the oil pan as well. So kind of needed pulled out and refreshed. The other thing is this clutch has been in here for, you know, the whole time. So 3.5, 4 years, I think. Clutch kicks, drifting, and, you know, plenty of abuse. So I would like to pull apart, you know, pull the tranny and everything off it, obviously. Check the condition of the clutch, see if we need to order any parts and do some maintenance. And then I'm kind of thinking about pulling the head off of it. And then doing the valve stem seals, valve springs, and retainers. So tomorrow I'm going to go ahead and yank out the rest of the wiring on here, and then we might throw this thing up actually on the engine stand, yank the oil pan, maybe do some stuff with the head, and then probably mock up some stuff with like the turbo and intake manifold, and we could kind of start mocking up some more stuff in the engine bay in here, and you know, running new oil cooler lines, all that type of stuff. This oil cooler, these lines, I'm not sure if you're even supposed to run these lines on there, or if I should probably just do like some PTFE ones, I think would probably be the best bet. So just lots of plumbing, figure out some wiring stuff. I would like to get a different harness on here, but for the time being I might just be able to just throw this in there, get it started, maybe run the stock ECU just for some test pulls and stuff down the street, see how all that stuff goes. And I actually have a kind of a full Deechworks fuel system that was supposed to go into the drift car, but I think we might end up prematurely just throwing it in this, obviously, because that's where the JZ's that's going to go in there for. And I think the drift car is probably going to get a K series. So I don't know. We'll check back in tomorrow. All right, guys. Well, I had my 240 SX listed for sale on Facebook Marketplace, and the guy actually just showed up over here with the trailer. So we're gonna go outside and meet him. All loaded up. So we got Wyatt right here. Wyatt just actually bought my 240, man.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do with it?
Put an LS in it.
An LS?
Yeah.
You're not gonna keep a JDM?
No.
Just the LS. So you got a 5.3, and you're just kind of waiting on sourcing a tranny.
Yeah.
But
go with T56.
yeah, you got this thing. Now you actually have a chassis though. So
Oh, yeah.
if you guys don't know, I've had this car for probably 4 years, and it's pretty much just sat outside the whole time. And so it's S13 hardtop. It's a single cam automatic, and I've been trying to sell it off and on, and nobody ever wanted to buy it until Wyatt here. He decided it was the day. So we got it moved out, loaded up. You're wondering how long it sat here. That long. So well, sweet, man. I appreciate you taking it off my hands, even though I'm kind of sad to see it actually go. But what's your Instagram? We'll put that in there.
YS23.
Do you got a YouTube channel too?
I do not.
You don't yet. But so I'm looking forward to see this thing out at a Drift Colorado event later this year, I hope.
Oh yeah, hopefully.
So hell yeah, man. Well, good luck. And if any of you guys have a freaking a T56 or a CD to LS, hit this guy up. So,
Colorado.
right, man. Well, safe drive home.
Awesome.
Yeah, later. Okay, so it's kind of sad to see that that S13 go, but I wasn't realistically. I have too many things on my plate, and it just probably was at the very, very bottom of the totem pole, and you know, or at least on the list of things. So right here, you can see I went ahead and pulled out the wiring that was in the S14. So factory, this is like an IS300 engine bay fuse box, and then these are the factory wires. And what I did is I pinned into it, or I just cut the wires and basically connected into them with these right here. I have these all labeled. I had a little sheet a long time ago. I don't know where it went, but basically all the red ones get power. This black one gets ground. This is the tack. This is an extra wire, and this goes to the starter. So super simple. And literally I could plug this thing, hook this thing up to like a battery and some fuel, and it would just run right there. And I didn't have to, I only had to cut one wire on this whole thing, and I think that's right there, and that's for the tack. This is this little orange plug. There's a bunch of wires that actually need jumped to kind of like give power to like injectors and all that. This is basically like a little distribution plug. So I didn't have that a long time ago, so this is what we did, and it worked. So the car ran, started every time, literally gave me no shit. Like the whole time, it worked, it ran, it did great stuff. I've won, I don't even know how many events here in Colorado, or at least been in the top 3. Basically all of last season, I think I was on the podium, and then not last season, the year before season. So 2018 season, I was pretty much on the podium every round, and you know, did some Vegas drift stuff, did a lot of stuff with Adam and in Lone Star Drift. So done a lot of stuff with this car. It's been a super solid chassis, and you know, engine setup, power plant, and I obviously am kind of keeping the chassis around. I don't think, I've debated selling it for a long time, and I just think it's kind of one of them cars. It would just kind of hurt me to kind of sell, and I would always be bummed about it. So we're keeping it around. I really think a K-Series would be super sick in here. It would take some of that weight off of the nose of here. Obviously cast iron block, aluminum head, big V6 versus aluminum block, aluminum head, turbo 4-cylinder that makes like 600 plus and has a super high rev limit. So that's basically like a Neo VVL on steroids is kind of how I would consider it. Like Neo VVLs are super expensive and kind of complicated to get work here. You have to have a bunch of adapter plates, adapter components for the crank trigger and the VVL stuff, whereas that is literally just for a Honda engine. And so I think that would be really cool. I think that'd be really cool to do, and actually probably try to get set up in there. So look forward to that. Let me know if you guys are stoked about that. And then as well as this whole JZ Mustang thing, I'm getting more excited by the day. A little bit of refresh stuff in here. We'll probably get it started and running with this whole setup right there. Obviously probably put the ECU master back in there, maybe just start it on the stock ECU just for funnies. But otherwise, I think that's it. I mean, it should wire, plug in, do all that type of stuff. Go on a road trip, delete the AC and power steering, and I think that's it, guys. I appreciate you guys watching, and if you guys haven't got entered, giving away that WRX. We only got like a week or so left, so See you guys later.